All right, we are live. So this is Epic Sketch Time for May the 24th, 2016. My name is James Stowe, and for the next hour or so, I will be joined by several other cartoonists, and we will be sketching epically. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
I'm Bill Morse. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator and do a web comic called Rhapsodies.
My name is Mark Monlux, and I'm a cartoonist. And when I'm not doing whiteboard videos, I do a webcomic or two called Comic Critic, available for viewing online at thecomiccritic.com, and also the Return of Stickman.
Hi, I'm Deanna Brigman. I'm an illustrator and e-learning developer, and I make a webcomic called Obscurato, which you can find on obscurato.com.
My name is Pat McEwen. I do a comic called The Devil and Mr. Gandhi, and you can read that at devilandgandhi.com.
And I realized I failed to plug my own comic, so I make a comic called Sidekick Quests, and you can read it at sidekickquests.com.
Sorry for forgetting, but since everybody brought it up, Rhapsodies is at wpmorse.rhapsodies.com.
Well, there you go. And like I said, we're just going to be spending the next hour or so drawing and talking about random stuff. Right now I'm working on a comic that I should have already gotten done, but my week has been crazy. Kickstarters will do that to you.
Yes, so I have heard.
And I've reached that maddening part in the Kickstarter where I'm not funded yet, and I've reached the doldrums where things just kind of coast until the people who like to back at the last minute. Although I have a lot of stuff, a lot of promotional pieces getting ready to hit, so hopefully that will expand my my base a little bit. So what is everybody working on tonight?
Well, I'm working on just on two strips involving on-again, off-again relationship between two characters, which involves gentle ribbing on one character's behalf and one character who, while doesn't have the courage to do anything about it, feels more than a little put upon, and is finally being talked into getting the courage to complain, and is rather surprised when the person who's been gently ribbing him sees his point and apologizes. With any luck, it'll be a lot better than what I just described by the time I finish it.
A long time ago, I promised a friend of mine that I'd do a little whiteboard video for him to kind of promote both of our businesses. And since I've been going crazy doing this other whiteboard for another client for the last 2 weeks, and I'm probably going to end it tomorrow, cross your fingers, hope to die, I thought, well, I might as well work on this other guy, so I seem to have my be in whiteboard mode. And it'll be a break from the constantly working on that deck of cards.
Be done with that deck of cards, right? Like,
I need to do the artwork for the pack.
Oh, the back.
Yeah, and I figured, well, I'm planning on doing this for like a test run of about 10 cards and about, 10 packs. And so I'll probably do the dummy pack and then see what I can do to improve it after I see the initial run. It's only going to run me like $60 to run off about 10 of them. So I figure that's a good, you know, pre-press test fee.
Well, I am finishing up the colors for the first page of Chapter 2 of my webcomic.
Nice work.
Now, do you create a palette specifically for your comic, or do you kind of just eyeball it as you go along?
I do have a palette selected for the characters, but usually I just pick it depending upon what I've decided the mood is for this panel or storytelling. So this particular page is just kind of a bright, sunny, hopeful feeling to it, so lots of yellows.
James? James, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, this is Fernando.
Hi there. Welcome.
Hello. What is the name of your comic? I love the draws.
What's that?
What's the name of the comic you're working on?
Oh, it's called Sidekick Quests. It is the comic I do 3 times a week.
Ah, okay. I like the drawing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty much this Wednesday's comic. It's pretty much sidekicks on a bench.
Okay.
Not a lot of action this week, but everybody is just sitting on a bench.
Okay. So I can see you're using like watercolors for to for the lines, and then you use a strong color to highlight the lines, right?
Well, I do a very, very rough underdrawing. Let me see if I can. So you can see a little bit of the underdrawing there. There's
Yeah.
not much to it.
Yes.
And then I draw the final over top that.
Ah, okay, it's great. Look, I'm a graphic facilitator, and I'm starting to work on electronic devices. I use the Surface Pro 3 for sketchnoting.
Hey,
And yes,
oh, Fernando, I'm also a graphic facilitator.
okay.
I mainly do outcome-driven illustration, but I too do a lot of sketchnoting.
And what do you do? What do you use? Which electronic device?
Actually, I don't use an electronic device. I still do it the old-fashioned way.
Okay, okay. I work too with the old-fashioned way. It's just that sometimes it's, I don't know, according to the purposes of the meetings, it has worked a lot good because, for example, a month ago I worked on a project. It was a complete digital sketchnoting, and I worked on Photoshop. and Photoshop allowed me to work on many layers. And when there were some changes during the meeting, I could make those changes without problem.
Yeah, I know some other sketch noters. They do the same thing. They tend to use an iPad.
Yeah.
Are you going to be at the IFVP conference in August?
No, no, I won't. No, no, I don't have enough budget. I
Oh,
mean,
that's too bad.
yeah.
I did my first conference about 4 years ago, and
Okay.
it really turned around my career. I started doing my workload really picked up afterwards, mainly because I started doing whiteboard videos, and I learned from a gal there named Janelle King, who was then the president of the group. She did a breakout session on doing whiteboards, and as soon as I went home, I
Yeah.
got a call from a client, did a whiteboard, and I've been doing whiteboards ever since.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know. I have doing this for 3 years. But I mean, I used to work for political communication. Then I realized I've been doing this all my life. Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, I my background is communication science, and then, as I said, strategic intelligence focused on political decision making. Then I'm switching to software industry, graphic facilitation and recording for software industry. And I'm starting working. Actually, this Saturday I will be recording a open space. The open space will be focused on agile methodologies for software projects. And I'm learning a lot about the topic. I'm not a specialist in software, near an engineer or something like that, but I'm learning a lot. And I realized that there's a niche market for me in software because there are so many communication issues in industries. So graphic facilitation is a great tool. And actually, I'm gonna show some sketch notes I'm doing for practicing. Can you see them?
Just a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, hold them up again and say something when you're holding them up so it remains on the screen.
Okay.
Hold it up higher. All I can see is the wording Escalar. Okay, there we go. Now I can see it.
Okay. Well, as you can see, this is a talk I recorded from YouTube just to be familiar uh, about the topic of how to use the agile methodologies in software projects. As you can see, I was trying to capture the process of deploying agile methodologies. So I'm trying to building my own visual vocabulary on this topic, yeah,
Yeah?
and that's what I'm trying to capture. As you can see, I'm using only orange to highlight the titles, arrows. Okay, here's another one. Oh, excuse me. I'm going for a tissue.
What was that?
That was someone blowing their nose.
Yeah, it was. Holy moly.
Hmm. So, Stowe, what do you think of our good friend Chris being so thoroughly supported by the community with his GoFundMe campaign?
Say that again now, I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't hear about that Sonics guy?
Oh, I did. The robbery?
Yeah, well, someone established a GoFundMe account for him, and I'm trying to think of how many thousands of dollars he's received so far. But it, he easily, before the end of the first day was in 3,000. So I think his rent's covered because they took his rent money too.
Oh, geez.
So,
Well, there's a lot of support behind him. He's definitely a local figure.
but what a bummer to get robbed while you're away at the opening of a documentary about you. That's cruel, cruel fate to have your Sonics memorabilia stolen. And I can't help but wonder if maybe the crook was watching the news and said, "Oh, I know where that guy lives. He's out of town. I can go hit his house." Or you think I'm
The
being
messed up part
overburdened?
is there's about a 50-50 chance it was someone he knows.
And I can't help but think that, well, he saw the person. So, because he came home and he caught the guy robbing his place. What a bummer.
Hmm.
Hmm. Really want to show you guys the 2 weeks worth of work I've been doing, but I can't because,
Confidential.
well, until it goes public, I should probably not, show it on something that's probably going to be showing up on YouTube later. So,
Mm-hmm.
And pesky NDAs and their lawsuits and stuff.
Well, you're talking about literally thousands of people viewing this through YouTube, so you know.
Wait, has Mark's numbers gotten up to the thousands for even like his entire channel yet?
well, this isn't my channel. This is Stowe's channel.
And I'm pretty sure no one even knows my channel exists.
I finally got impatient with you and decided to post one of the video from last week, which you promised you were going to post, but no.
Hey, can anybody confirm that I'm actually have audio?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. I have problems with it sometimes.
Nope, you're doing great.
Sweet.
So if anyone was listening, we talked to Fernando earlier and want to know what the IFVP is. It is the International Forum of Visual Practitioners. And graphic facilitation is when typically it's mainly centered around graphic recording, where you attend a meeting and the keynote speaker of a multi-day seminar or a full-day seminar is up at the front of the room. You're off to the side of the room, and on a large piece of paper, somewhere between 3 by 8 feet, you're basically doing a large visual and text capture of what the conversation is going on in the event. And maybe you'll do one, or maybe you'll do multiples. Usually multiples are done. Graphic facilitation is an awesome gig. It pays really, really well because it's a full rights buyout because you're there at the event. Depending on your level of involvement, you know, you can make it anywhere. Starting is I haven't heard of anyone charging less than $1,500, and I know some people charge up to $3,000 a day for doing it.
Yeah, I know.
It's good income.
Yeah.
When I was doing ODI work, I was charging around $1,500 a day. But ODI is a little different. What I do is I walk around. I go and work multiple rooms or multiple tables at the same time when there's sort of like a targeted brainstorming sessions going on, and then I just on a notepad do cartoons to capture the metaphor because the conversation is already being caught by transcriptionists who are also at the event. So I don't have to worry so much about capturing.
Yeah, actually,
Go ahead.
yeah, it's the situation I'm gonna have for the open space because I won't be everywhere because sessions are gonna take place in many rooms. So what I asked to the organizers is to ask some people in every session to make them write down the main, I don't know, 3 key points. So they're gonna give me the key points of every session, and I'm gonna translate it into a Google map. I'm gonna draw up in the wall.
Yeah, a good way of doing that is having one person at each table. If they're set up in different tables, tell one person at each table to be a scribe. You'll find though that unless it's part of the activity, that most people will not take notes unless they are told to do so, and even then they get lost in the conversation sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think I misheard that. Did you say coupons?
Coupons? I don't think I said the word coupons.
No, Fernando.
Sorry, I said keynotes. Did you listen?
Hmm.
Well, that sounds very interesting. How do you get started in that particular career?
The way I got started was a friend and a friend of mine named Sam Day. He was called in on what he assumed would be a storyboarding gig. And storyboarding's when you pretty much go in, you sit down with some art directors, and they have some ideas about some commercials, and they pretty much pay you like $150 a panel to draw out scenarios for a commercial. So after a day, you could be doing, get enough panels to have a couple of commercials figured out. Anyway, so we went. You found out that was going to be a really big group. It was going to be like 60 people. So he knew that, and they said, well, we probably need another cartoonist. And it was for the end client was Microsoft. The primary client, or the client that hired us, was a company called Stratogen. And they are an ODI company, an outcome-driven innovation company that's hired by other parties to facilitate these events. Anyway, so he and I go in, and they describe what they want us to do, and how it's a little bit, they didn't know what storyboarding was, but we had it, it didn't take long for them to tell us what they wanted, and then we formed a little war party game plan, and then went into it. And the company really liked us after that, and they started using us, and they had multiple teams out in the field, so either they called Sam or they called me, and when I wasn't available, or when one of us wasn't available, they called the other one. And I think I traveled around with that company all over the country for almost 4 years, doing one or two projects, 1 or 2 a month. Sometimes I do 3 a month. I've done as many as 4 a month. And but usually I'd be doing about 1 a month. So it was a nice paced gig. And then what happened was they started teaching the companies that they were going to how to do this. And then the companies started hiring me individually when they realized I was a freelancer and not part of the, I was a Stratogen artist, that they made sure I came along, but they were pleased as punch to know that they could hire me separately. And I was going gangbusters on that until the whiteboard thing came along, and that started going even, even more fun. So it's just a matter of getting out there and being known by the companies that are resources. I would say go for the big fish, go for the large companies. A great way to get introduced is, or to let a place know that you're doing this. A lot of places don't even know what it is. Like I go to my chamber meeting, and when I'm at the chamber, I'll do a sketch note, which is basically, the type of drawings you would do in high school to keep notes of, when you're talking and stuff. And,
yes, exactly. Okay.
and then I'll take those sketch notes and I would scan them in, and it, would have pictures of the food and the speaker and descriptions and notes that I took, and who was sitting next to me and what their businesses were, and I'd plug a couple people, and I'd also plug out what their Twitter handles were. And I put a couple hashtags in there. Anyway, I would then post this up on my Facebook page, then contact the chamber and say, hey, there's this graphic I just posted of your event. Just thought I'd let you know. Then the chamber would grab that and start sharing it out to everybody else. And that way, people in my local community were finding out about what I was doing. So that's a way of doing it locally. But really, you want to hit those big fish. My companies that I go to are big, giant conglomerates, and if I don't know somebody there, I will ask for the research and development team, because the R&D or the innovation team, and just nag people on the phone until I get the right person and introduce myself. But for the most part, it's been word of mouth. And that's how you get started. You luck into it.
Maybe I'll look into it. What kind of portfolio do you have to have?
Just show your work. I've been doing freelance illustration since '85, so I've got a ton of stuff that I was able to show off. They'll naturally go and check out your website. My website's terrible. But one of the things I do is when I started doing like my whiteboard videos, I started posting those on my my Facebook page, and I also have a page for my business on Facebook. And what was happening was my art rep was seeing those, other people were seeing those, and then when someone contacted them, they'd say, "Oh yeah, I know that. Someone's you can go and check out this guy's page or check out his YouTube channel." So as long as they can see a reference source, if you go to my Flickr account, there's a whole folder I have just of my sketch notes. And if you type in on Flickr, sketch notes, you'll see other people's work. Type in. Oh, another thing you can do is if you want to get a job doing graphic recording, go ahead and set up a 3x5 or a 3x8 in your house. Put a camera on it on time lapse. Turn on a TED Talk that's about 5 minutes long, and show how much of that how you can capture that TED Talk while they're talking live in those 5 or 10 minutes onto that one page. And then that shows people right then and there, hey, this is what this guy can do in 5 or 10 minutes. And speed is of the essence. You've got to be fast. And there's plenty of books on how to do graphic facilitation. It's not something new. It's been around for like 20 years. But the International Forum of Visual Practitioners, they have an annual convention, and that's a great way of learning more from other people in the business about how to do it. So, Stowe, tell us about the event you're going to be tabling at this week.
The Evergreen Tabletop Expo, ETX, it's here in Tacoma. It's 3 days of open tabletop gaming with manufacturers and lots of demos, and it should be a lot of fun. I usually look forward to it every year just to go and play games for 3 days. This year I'm actually tabling there. I'm going to be demoing Sidekick Quests and trying to promote Kickstarter, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's one of my favorite events that we do here in Tacoma.
Now I know that you give away a lot of freebies at your table.
At my table,
Yeah, you give away, you know.
I do. I give away a ton of stuff, but you know, I like to talk to kids. Kids like preset kids. A lot of kids don't have money when they come to a table.
Well, what you should do is make it a sort of like a requirement that they follow you on Twitter or like you on Facebook.
You know what? What we did at Lilac CityCon is we had a little handheld device, and anybody who wanted to back the Kickstarter, we set them right up at the events. We handed them a platform that they could go ahead and use and sign on to, and it worked really well.
Well, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I'm planning kind of a overhaul of the campaign page already. I now that I'm into it and haven't done it for a little bit, I realize all the things I've done wrong.
Oh, such as?
I should just have provided a lot more information, I think, than I did, and there's some questions that, like add-ons after you're done, if you want to get more than one book, that kind of thing, that I should have addressed in advance.
That's a really good question.
That is a really good question, isn't it, Pats?
That's a very intelligent, handsome question.
Yes, yes, indeed. And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. I promote people getting lots and lots of books.
Now, were you offering like a batch discount for like retailers? So if they bought,
I do have a retailer discount, yes, indeed. No one has taken me up on that yet, but I haven't really pushed a lot of retailers lately either. So I've got if I want people to put it in their store, I need to talk to stores about actually putting it there. I think that's where ETX this weekend is going to be helpful.
so did you call the people up at Crit City Podcast to schedule an airing time with them, or?
I have not had a chance to do so yet, but I am planning on doing it tomorrow, actually. I have been crazy busy, especially Sunday, man. When you texted me that, I was like, oh my god, what? Yeah, I'm surprised at how much work the Kickstarter is while you're doing it.
That's what everybody tells me.
It is. It's crazy. Like if you really need to be engaged. I mean, I guess you don't have to be, but I'm freaking out, and I have like 18 days left.
Yeah, hosting a Kickstarter is sort of like asking for a month of anxiety.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like Saturday was my first day with no backers. And I was like, oh my god! What am I going to do?
Yeah, the biggest comedy of errors I ever saw was some idiot from England. I had two friends who were working on a comic book that was Lovecraft meets Shakespeare's The Tempest, and there was some idiot from England who claimed that they were plagiarizing him, even though it's a blatantly obvious idea, and Shakespeare and Lovecraft aren't copyrighted. Well, Lovecraft is, but not in the way. So that had their campaign put on hold for half a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That bites.
Yeah, seriously.
Fortunately, he made it public enough that there was a big stink, and he came off looking like a complete moron.
Did I hear a kitty cat?
Oh, I didn't get to show you guys last time. Come here. Come here, sweetie. Come here. Oh, God. This is one of our two kitties. It's a girl.
Aww.
You never look at the webcam. Why is that? Oh, I'm holding her too high. I forgot the webcam's down at the bottom now. I changed my whole setup. There's not a good way to show it off because the webcam cable's not that long. But it's a lot more vertical now. I've got my second monitor up above my drawing monitor instead of to the side. And then I actually put a rack in next to my computer, so the printer's like up above the monitors. The tower's up in the middle rack instead of being there you go. Instead of being on the floor, it's actually on the second rack alongside the scanner. And then I have my paper shredder down on the floor, and more room down there, more room all over the place, and a lot less neck strain.
Good.
It looks completely weird to everybody else because I have a vertical stack of monitors, but I find I move my head a lot less going from the top monitor to my drawing monitor than going side to side when I've got reference shots and things. Everyone else I know is a gamer, so they all look at it and they're like, why are you...
Oh, yeah, sure.
But probably everybody else in Hangout right now is probably like, oh, that makes sense. I might be able to. Let me see if... Nope! I got no slack on the webcam anymore. Because all the cables are actually going properly into the desk now.
Well, that brings up a good question. What does everybody else use for a setup? Like, my setup is fairly bare bones. I have a Cintiq companion, and that's it. A couch. I have a couch.
I can show everybody
Is the
mine.
companion the one that's the little Cintiq laptop?
It is, yeah.
That's not exactly most people's idea of bare bones.
Oh.
Just gonna say.
Yeah, but that's it. Like, that's all I have. I don't have a studio or anything. I just take it wherever I go, and I draw, and that's it.
These doors, my computer is in the utility room. Behind those doors is a washer, a dryer, a water heater, and a furnace.
Okay, if you look at my monitor, I got my little camera here. There's the window to the front porch. There's my main terminal.
Wait, can you stop for a second? What is the yellow sticky note on the window?
Was that a thing?
That is something to keep the birds from banging in the window, because otherwise they'll fly right into it.
Birds have been trying to kill you?
They see the reflection and they think they can fly through, and they just hit that and they scare the hell out of me.
Oh my
That's why
god.
that's there.
You could
Here's my monitor, and then to the right is my printer. Directly underneath me is my Wacom.
Well, I'm not nauseous at all.
There's my stuff. I'll just pan. There's some reference books. I have a filing cabinet.
Are those
over
your
here.
gold records?
What?
Your little CDs tacked to the wall.
Oh yeah, those are old archives.
Oh, that makes sense.
Computer. Let's see. What's over there? Oh, that thing hanging in the corner. Those are all of my lanyards from all my conventions.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's fun.
I want to do that sometime. I've got them kind of willy-nilly all over the house, and I want to actually pin them up somewhere.
My wife makes sure they
An
do.
old wooden drawing desk that I don't use.
Hey, Picard reference.
Hmm.
Yes,
Wow, that's spinny.
Yeah, please don't do that again.
Less spinning.
that's my light table, my old one that I keep my new flat one on.
My God, you live in this.
You've got a light table on a light table.
Yes, I do.
Jeez.
Up here is my collection of toy robots, and
Yep.
there's my third vintage paperback collection. And
I'm surprised you don't have a cot in there.
a what? Oh, I do.
Like, you could live in that thing. Well, except for the bird attacks.
Oh, you mean a cot?
Yeah, cots.
Oh.
Dude, he wouldn't get any work done if he had a cot in there. It'd be too tempting to sleep. You never have a sleeping place where you're working, or you'll be like, I'm just gonna get 5 minutes of shut-eye, and then pretty soon your spouse is like, hey honey, it's 2 a.m. Why are you sleeping on the floor next to your computer?
When I lived in Ballard and my office was in the second bedroom, there was a single bed in that room. And it was usually covered like a desk. It just had stuff all over it. And it was not the most ideal situation when my brother came and lived with us for about, I think it was only 3 months. My wife is convinced that it was 6 months or a year or more, but I don't think it was that
The
long.
spouse would know.
But anyway, when he was sleeping in there, I have to say, sorry, gotta get to work. But I've always worked from home. I've never. There have been times when I worked at agencies, but.
Well, you talked about how you went to locations to do drawing conventions and talks and seminars and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm talking on a daily basis. When I do those things, it's infrequently. And thank God for laptops.
Oh, definitely.
Now, when I first started doing that type of work, I didn't have a cell phone and was driving everybody else nuts. This was back in the age of Blackberries. And I would...
Technically, the age of Blackberries is only just now dying. There's still a weird quadrant of the world that actually uses Blackberries on purpose.
My Boeing engineer friend still swears by his BlackBerry.
Ironically, a bunch of Microsoft employees also run Blackberries.
I would call my clients and have them leave messages at the desk and call me at the hotel, and it just was driving them nuts. I finally had to get a burner cell phone when I realized I was no longer finding telephones.
Oh.
What do you mean you don't have a payphone?
Disappearing on me, and half the phones at hotels don't work anymore. They're just ornamentation.
Wait, they really... Why would you even leave it then? That's just crazy.
What? Why would I leave what?
The phones, like, why would they leave them in if they don't even work? Like, I always figured they were at least, like, for calling up breakfast, like, they were internal phones at least.
You'd be surprised how many of them don't work. I mean, literally
Wow.
not even plugged into the wall.
Well, that can't be true.
Oh, it's...
I'm calling shenanigans on that.
Oh, good luck. I tell you what, next time you're at a hotel, see if that phone works. You'll probably find it with a blinking light with some other message left from 2009. Anyway, my clients got really fed up with that, and so got myself a cell phone. And at first, I only used it when I traveled, and then, of course, finally bit the bullet and bought myself an iPhone. And now I don't leave the house without it, like everybody else.
Yeah, it took me forever. What truly, beyond, along with moving, what truly made me finally make the transition was realizing that the AT&T contract that had terrified me scared me off of it for over 5 years, and actually looking at the deal and suddenly realizing that that was less than in my MCI bill.
Yeah, I need to get rid of my landline. I just haven't bothered with it. There's only 3 people who call me on the landline. My parents, one client in town who still hasn't bothered to enter in my cell phone number on his rapid dial, and telemarketers. So. I'm kind of curious, who else has gotten rid of their landline here?
I haven't had a landline in 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
Like, the point at which me and my husband both had smartphones, there was zero purpose in us having a landline. And ironically, actually, my husband's the one who convinced me to get a smartphone. I'm still, like, I kind of avoid my phone as much as I can. And I think the reason we finally got smartphones was he got a job as a test associate at Microsoft for Windows Phone Division. So he's playing with, like, high-end Windows smartphones all day. It only took about 2 weeks of him coming home and going, "Hey, can I get a smartphone?" for me to finally crack. And then it took him like another month or two to convince me that it was really an okay thing to spend $600 on a phone. That took a little more convincing.
Yikes, $600, huh?
Well, I mean, the high-end Windows phones, they're as powerful as an iPhone. And they're just as pricey.
My iPhone did not cost me $600.
That's because it's rolled into your plan. Or you've got an older iPhone.
Yeah.
Mine said the Windows Phone also got rolled into our plan. It ended up being $20 a month per phone for 2 years.
Yeah, it's pretty standard these days if you get anything that's fancy for it to be $600 or even $800. But yeah, with the leasing thing, it's about $20 a month for 2 years.
Yeah, because most of the time they'll have you pay like $100 to $200 down payment, and then you have like $400 or so left, and that easily works out to $20 a month for 2 years.
Yeah, I think T-Mobile honestly even just charges you for the phone at this point, and that is your contract. If you pay the phone off, you're out of your contract.
There is technically no contract on T-Mobile. Like, there's as much of a contract as like you with the electrical company. Even if you're still making payments on the phone, if you want to get out of it, it's literally just, okay, pay off what's left on the phone. And actually, it's kind of nice because they're not charging you any interest on it. So it's cheaper than if you put the phone on a credit card. Because they just dice it up into, okay, how much does the phone cost? Divide by number of months. We're on T-Mobile, and I'm actually kind of a fan of them, so sorry if I got a little fangirly there.
No, I like T-Mobile a lot too. We have the same thing. It's T-Mobile commercial here at the Sketch Time. So I'm still curious what other people do for a studio setup, if anything.
Yeah, let somebody else make us dizzy.
I can't make you dizzy. My webcam is on my companion. That's what I use. I have a home office / guest bedroom, and I work on my companion, and it is plugged into a mouse, a keyboard, and a second monitor, which actually have them stacked, so I don't have to look left and right. I just look up and down.
You have a mouse plugged into your companion?
I do, so I can use my second monitor.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
But to be honest, like I do vector work and stuff as well, and I prefer to do that with a mouse as opposed to with a.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I could do that. That would drive me insane.
Yeah, I've tried to use a tablet to do it, and I just can't. I have to do the mouse.
I was trying to use a tablet back when I didn't have a touch-sensitive screen, and I never could get into it. But the moment I was actually using the stylus on the screen, I moved right over. Not a problem. One of the things that I read as far as a tip was to put your mouse in a drawer and force yourself to just use your stylus until you got used to it. And it only took like 2 days, and I was just, oh man, I just love this.
Huh.
I'll still use the mouse because, like when I use VideoScribe, there are some controls that just work better with the mouse. Like zooming in and out, you need that little wheel thing to go.
I cannot even remember the last time I used the mouse.
See, I set zoom to marquee zoom on every program that I can find that option on, and marquee zoom is like the best with a mouse.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used the only time I ever use my mouse is when there's some power outage and I have to reboot the machine and suddenly I don't have access to any controls and I have to find where I put the damn thing, and then I have to find new batteries for it.
Yeah. So if you've actually got a better mouse, that tends to be it doesn't tend to happen as often. Because, yeah, my old mouse used to do that like crazy. I was a big World of Warcraft fan in college, and I was the person who was like notorious in the raid for her mouse dying right when one of the fights was starting. And considering I was also the lead healer on a bunch of the raids, yeah, they didn't like that so much. I got heckled quite a bit. So I got a little bit of slack on mine. I can show off a little bit of my setup. So, a little bit of spinning. Come on, camera, spin. So this is what I was talking about, that I've got my Yanova MP19 that I draw on, and then I've actually got a stand. Right now it's an old painting box and a bunch of motherboard boxes, but I do have the wood kicking around. I want to make a proper stand for the monitor so it's a little less haphazard. And that's where I'll put like my reference shots, and right now I've got everybody on webcam, and if I'm doing Google image search, or I'm got my character references up. And then to the side, I've got a cheapo IKEA rack that I've got a scanner and my tower, and then up above I've got my nice extra large Canon that I do my blue line printouts from. And then it's covered in crap right now, so please forgive me. but I've got... Am I pointing in the right direction?
Yes, maybe.
But this is actually one of a traditional drawing table that'll like actually tip up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's covered in stuff right now because I haven't done very much traditional art lately, and also house renovations have been piling stuff on all of my workspaces, so not the most fun in general. And one of the things I actually use is this. And this is actually, it's a left-hand keyboard input called an Nostromo, and it's actually sold by Razer because normally it's something they sell to video gamers. But I got that back when I was working on busting out the first book of Aspect, because I found that when I started cranking out 4 or 5 pages a week, I was getting tennis elbow from having my keyboard for all my Photoshop shortcuts while the other hand was drawing. And at the time I actually was still using a little Wacom Graphier 3, which I still have. This thing is a little tank. I will say that about Wacom tablets and Wacom products. This thing was secondhand when I got it, and when I got it was back in 2007. It was already 3 years old. I got it secondhand from a friend who bought it and didn't use it much. And then I used it every day for like 8 years, and it still works. And the only reason I stopped using it is that the Unova drawing monitors finally got cheap enough that I could actually afford to swap to a drawing monitor. And now that I've got a drawing monitor, it's really hard to switch back to a tablet.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, the
I'm
only
spoiled.
problem with old Wacom tablets is drivers.
And I haven't had too much trouble with the Graphiers. Like,
Yeah.
they're just little... That particular model is like a little tank. And it didn't ever had much functionality. It doesn't have hotkeys. It doesn't have any bells and whistles. It's literally just like a drawing area with a pen.
Yeah, I have a collection of old Wacom tablets I don't use anymore.
I only have one. I don't have a collection of them, unfortunately.
I've been using them for a really long time, and I have this gigantic tablet. It's big, clunky, and gray. Was made like in the early 90s, I'm guessing. It is the craziest thing. I hope it still works. I don't know. I think I got it in college.
That's
Like-
around when I got this one, as I was finishing up college, and that's when I found out that my friend just happened to have a Wacom tablet sitting in his pile of excess crap.
Now, is it Wacom or is it Wacom?
I always
It's Washington Computers, so it's Wacom technically.
okay.
Oh.
And I only know that because I was on customer service with them for almost 3 months solid.
Nice.
So
I
if-
heard them say it a lot.
That's good to know. I mean, every time I have a friend who gives me grief for going Wacom, and he's, why do you call it that? It's got 2 C's for crying out loud.
But yeah, they were a Washington-based company.
It doesn't have
before
2 C's.
They were purchased.
There's only 1 C.
Huh? There's only 1 C.
Yeah,
W-A-C-O-M.
Yep. Ah. Shoot.
Did you go, blah?
It was off camera, so you didn't see it, but I had an empty can of soda on my drawing desk that, as I was putting the Wacom tablet back, it knocked that and a cup off the desk.
Well, as we've just established, it's not Wacom, it's Wacom. So,
Sorry, it's going to take me a bit to break that bad habit.
I've heard lots of different variations. My favorite is Wacom.
That sounds like somebody.
I wish they were called Wacom.
Whack-a-mole
That
tablets?
sounds like
whacking it.
that only sounds like
Whack-a-mole
something
tablets.
Cranston would call it.
Oh, god damn it, Em.
Profanity now.
Oh, sorry. My friend's doing the pencils on this project, and I'm doing the inks, and she changed the shape of these door handles between page 2 and page 3. So now I gotta go back and either fix page 2 or muck with her line art and change page 3. Oh no, it is me. It's me who changed it. Damn it. Double damn it, Em. I changed it for a reason because I didn't think you could stick a sword through those handles. Now I look bad. Ooh. Dang it.
And on YouTube even.
I love
Yeah.
cartoons.
It wouldn't be the first time. One time I was inking, I was like working really zoomed in, and when I zoomed out, I had at some point filled the rest of the canvas with black, far enough back that I couldn't undo step back to a point when the rest of the line art I had drawn was still there.
Yeah.
It took like everything I could not to just like drop a bunch of F-bombs in the middle of live stream. Yeah. Fun times.
When I was a little kid, I'd be concentrating so hard on doing my art that I would suffer the equivalent of a Pepsi syndrome, only it involved drool.
Pepsi syndrome?
You've never heard of Pepsi syndrome?
Thin and sweet.
What?
Thin and
Pepsi
sweet.
syndrome is when you drop a soda on your keyboard.
Oh!
They had keyboards back then? Uh-huh.
I'd never heard that called Pepsi syndrome.
Maybe.
It's from a Saturday Night Live skit.
That's probably why I don't know of it. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You probably weren't even born then.
It's less that and more the fact that I've just, I'm not the most up-to-date with pop culture of any kind. It's just a facet of who I am. And it's a little worse even nowadays because I refuse to pay every streaming network on the planet so that I can get all the different contents, and then I really get no art or anything useful done if I have access to basically any kind of streaming, so yeah.
I'm going to call it a night, folks. I'll talk to you all later.
What time is it?
It is
8:39.
8:40.
Oh, wow, really? Wow, this epic sketch I'm shocked at.
Yep.
I think it was because there was no major technical problems.
Though our crowd has thinned down significantly. We lost Patrick and
Fernando.
Well, I think I need to get going too. I got to get kids to bed. Hopefully, when I stop this broadcast, you can all still hang out, and I will not kill you guys. So I will put.
How do I? Oh wait, never mind. This is totally fine. I can totally BS this because this is the other side of the door, and I can just say, "Oh, it has different handles." Somebody sounds like they're making shake and bake.
What does that sound like?
Like shake, 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 shake.
I mean, it could be me, maybe, drawing on the surface of the companion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might be you because it goes away when you've got your auto mute back on. It's just a weird, like, huh. Is your microphone in your companion?
Yes.
Then it's definitely possible, since all the components are like right there butted up together. It'd be really easy for there to be a little bit of feedback. Oh, the sound of Windows going nope. Everybody's so quiet now.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the three of us.
Yep.
I suppose with Mark out, everything gets a little quieter.
Yes.
And I'm busy concentrating. I got a little behind. I have one page to post for tomorrow, and then one in the queue, and then I have to hurry up and get more.